Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you are watching this. I am OSG, and today we have the performance review of the Nike GT Cut 4 in this Preheat colorway. And in a word, I just have to say I'm frustrated. That's the way I can summarize it. Oh! Get in there, yes sir. Uh-oh. I'm sitting. Oh yeah. Oh. Down. Good basketball.
Thank you very much. Another pencil, anyone?
That's better.
Anyone has a pencil?
Oh. Uh-oh. Me here. So starting off from an aesthetic point of view, this shoe is definitely like Marmite. If you guys don't know what Marmite is, it's something in the UK where people say you either love it or hate it. It's definitely Marmite. For some people, it's gorgeous. For some people, it's a bit too much. It's a bit too futuristic. For me, I love it. I love the way these look. I love the shark type design on the side here. And obviously it matches with the colorway as well. This is the Preheat colorway. And as I mentioned in my earlier video as well, the little silver accents everywhere through the shoe really give it that pop as well. So I really like the aesthetics. But you guys are here for the all-important performance. So let's start from the bottom as always, starting off with the traction. So the traction here on the Nike GT Cut 4s features this stamped out rubber traction. It's a full-length rubber. I described it looking very similar to flow foam in my previous video, and it also, I guess, performs quite like flow foam as well. So it's really interesting to see. Maybe it's to do with the pattern as well as the material, but with these in particular, they performed actually pretty well. As you can see, it picks up quite a bit of dust on the outsole, so you do have to keep up with your wipes whenever you are playing. But if you've wiped down, these will hold you and these will grip to the floor really, really well for the majority of your plays. For those of you that do care about squeak, these squeak absolutely none. There's no squeak when it comes to this shoe, which, to be fair, I was actually disappointed by it. I saw how aggressive the traction pattern was. I was like, ooh, I feel like these are gonna squeak. I laced them up, I put them on, silence. I said, oh, that's a shame. It's just a shame. Squeak has nothing to do with performance, by the way. It has nothing to do with how good a traction is. But for some people, they like it. For me personally, I like it. But in these, there was no squeak, which was a shame, but doesn't affect the performance any. So for the traction on these, I would actually rate these a 4 out of 5. They get a 4 out of 5 because they do quite well on most court conditions. They do struggle on dust, and as you can see, again, the dust does get trapped in there, so it's a bit more of a difficult wipe as well. So overall, 4 out of 5 for the traction on the GT Cut 4s. Moving on to the cushioning here on the GT Cut 4s, spoiler alert, 5 out of 5. I'm gonna just say it now. I will just say it now so we can get that out of the way. 5 out of 5. The cushioning setup here on the GT Cut 4s, we have an outer carrier foam of Cushlon 3.0. Just to start with, a carrier foam of Cushlon 3.0. Then in the main body of it, we have full length Zoom Strobel unit, full length. And at the front, it's actually articulated, so you can move around with it a bit more. So carrier foam Cushlon 3.0, full length Zoom Strobel. And then on top of that, you've got a drop in Zoom X 3.0 insole, which looks kind of like this. And yeah, the performance was honestly crazy on the cushion. You can feel it as soon as you put your foot into the shoe. It gives you that bounce back. There is a difference though. With these, there's a difference between cushioning feeling super bouncy and super responsive. There are some cushioning setups which strike the balance at the same time, but these you feel super, super bouncy. You don't feel as responsive as I was expecting. And when I say responsive, I mean you being able to plant your foot, feel some level of spring back, but then also not be stuck in the mud for like half a second. For me, there were some moves where I would overcommit on a defensive stop, trying to get a steal. And for me to recover, I didn't feel as quick as I would in some other shoes. So that's definitely something to note when it comes to the cushion. But like I said, guys, overall 5 out of 5 on the cushioning setup. Honestly, it's everything you need in a cushioning setup. Impact protection is there. I have foot problems whenever I hoop, and after I hooped in these for a full day of tournament, I didn't feel any sort of foot pain at all. when it came to the soreness of my feet from cushioning and landings. We're gonna get into why there was pain in my foot otherwise, but when it came to the cushioning, there was no pain in my foot. So 5 out of 5 for the cushioning on the GT Cut 4s. So we started off really strong with the GT Cut 4s. However, here's where it starts to go slightly downhill, unfortunately. Moving on to the fit of the GT Cut 4s. I can't really talk about the fit without mentioning the materials at least. So I'll mention the material before we get into that section, which is a whole separate thing. But overall, I'd say the fit would go true to size for most. If you have a wide foot, half size up and you should be okay. The midfoot is more accommodating because they have this exoskeleton type lace closure where there's actually a bit of room for you. So overall, I'd say most people true to size would be fine, and wide foot is half size up. But the fit, I'm giving the fit probably around a 4 out of 5. And fit is difficult to get lower than a 4. So you understand why once we get into the materials. But overall, for most people, like I said, true to size. The padding in the heel helps in terms of making that fit feel a bit more secure. But yes, overall, 4 out of 5. Now moving into the worst part of this shoe, and the reason why I'm so frustrated at the shoe, it is the materials here on the GT Cut 4. We have this nice, fancy looking, beautiful looking exoskeleton material that Nike have said is on this shoe. It's got a few breathability holes here in the quote unquote tongue, but it just didn't perform well. If you have the patience to break these in, and to be fair, if you've paid £175, $200 for this shoe, you're hopefully going to have the patience to break these in. If you wanted to return these based on how the materials feel around your foot, I wouldn't blame you either. I've been able to break them in slightly so they feel a bit better than when I first put them on. However, there is virtually no padding, not even virtually no, there's no padding in the tongue. So the first thing that I realized when I laced these up properly when I was about to hoop was lace pressure at the top of my foot, literally in this area here. I was like, oh, this is not fun. Like I could actually feel the quote unquote tongue digging into the top of my foot. So that was very, very unfortunate. The second thing I realized was how stiff they were. Now this gives them bonus points when it comes to the next section of lockdown, but the materials themselves were very, very, very stiff. So there wasn't really much room for movement or anything of that nature. So as you're trying to do some moves on court, because I mentioned in the traction section on my last video, the traction wraps up on the edge slightly to give you a bit of flexibility and movement when you want to do those side to side movements. If you're trying to do those side to side movements, it's going to be uncomfortable because you're literally banging into the side of this material every single time, and this has virtually no give. So overall, it was just an uncomfortable experience, if I'm being honest, which is a massive shame because I really, really wanted to love this shoe. And the bottom half of the shoe, I'm in love with. The traction does really, really well. The cushioning, A1, like it's beautiful. But then the top half of the shoe just disappoints. Hence why I said it's frustrating. Shout out to Chris from Wear Testers. He actually compared the uppers on these to the KD4s. And I'll tell you a quick story about me and KD4s. I bought a pair of the Weatherman's KD4s, which is one of the best colorways of the KD4 by far, in my opinion. I bought a pair. I tried them on. I brought them to my practice. I put them on. I shot like 3 shots and I took them off. I said, I don't like the way these uppers feel, so I don't even want to try and put these shoes in a position where I can't return them. I shot like 3 or 4 shots. I said, they're going off. I switched into the other shoe that I had in my bag at the time and I returned those straight away. So the fact that these uppers are comparable to that shoe should tell you everything you need to know about how much I didn't enjoy the upper setup on these. And I don't think a shoe has ever gotten this low of a score from me in terms of uppers, but I think I have to give this a 3 out of 5. Genuinely, yeah, it helps with the lockdown, but aside from that, that's kind of the only real benefit of this sort of upper setup. If we had something as flexible as the GT Cut 1 upper with this base, oh my goodness, it might have been the best shoe of all time. But alas, we're here. The lockdown here on the GT Cut 4s is actually pretty good. I can't complain about it. Like I said, the uppers are quite stiff, so they keep you on the footbed, they keep you in the shoe really well. There's padding around the ankle that does really well. The lacing setup, aside from the lace pressure that you get on the top of the foot, The actual lacing setup itself does well to contain you, latch you in. This rubber curving up and the way this outrigger comes out as well also keeps you quite stable on the ground. So overall for lockdown, I cannot complain. I can give this a solid 4.5 out of 5. So wrapping things up here on the GT Cut 4 performance review, overall score is a 4.3 out of 5, which when you're considering that in terms of the overall with all of my performance reviews, both on this YouTube page and the ones that I've posted on my Instagram and TikTok over the last few years, that is not a bad score. That's genuinely not a bad score. The reason why I say it's super frustrating, and this is why the shoe is going to be super polarizing, is if someone actually values a flexible upper and a comfortable upper above most things in a shoe, you're going to pretty much hate this shoe. I'll be honest with you. It's not going to be something that you pick up. It's not going to be something that you gravitate towards. However, if, like me, you gravitate more towards a good traction setup and some good cushioning, and you can have a bit of give when it comes to the materials and the fit, well, not the fit, but the materials mainly, then this will be a good shoe for you, genuinely. So it's one of those polarizing ones that some people are going to love these, some people are going to absolutely despise these. Where do I sit when it comes to these shoes? I don't really know. I'm going to give them a bit more time because I'm hoping the materials actually do break in a bit more. Because if they do and they sort of mold to my foot eventually, then I'm going to really love playing in these because I really enjoyed the cushioning setup. I really enjoyed the traction. If they don't over the next 2, 3, 4 wears, then these ones might have to go. So that is my overall thoughts here on the GT Cut 4. Please let me know what you think about these down below in the comment section. If you've picked a pair of these up and you've actually tried them, how have you felt about them? I know some people have already returned these because they tried them on and they were like, I don't like the way these feel on my foot. So let me know in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed this performance review, please leave the video a like. It would really help me, really help the algorithm push my videos out. Please subscribe to the channel while we're at it. I will be posting videos at least once a week, so you will be seeing a lot more content from me. There's vlogs on the way. There's a bunch more performance reviews on the way. I'm going to be getting some new shoes in. I'm going to be speaking about some of the shoes you see behind me. So please subscribe to the channel. If you were in the UK and you did want a pair of these, you can get these on Pro Direct. My link will be down below in the description box and my discount code will be there, and you can get a nice 10% discount on these, which, given the fact that they're £175, is a sizable discount. So if you did want these, go and pick them up from Pro Direct using my discount code. But that is it for my performance review on the GT Cut 4s in this Preheat colorway. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.